What's going on, guys, and welcome to This Week in the Shop, the new series where we are kind of talking through what goes on in a Mopar dealer shop at the end of each week. And again, all of these aren't things that I personally did, but some of these things I personally did, and some of the things are just things that happened or repairs, weird, interesting things that went on in the shop. And today we're going to be picking on an engine. Now, in previous videos, we've picked on the 3.6 liter or whatever. Today, we're going to be kind of picking on the new 3 liter twin turbo inline 6 Hurricane engine. But it's not without good reason because we've got some issues with this thing. I got to do a first replacement or repair for myself. We have had quite a few of these in the shop for this issue, but I somehow hadn't personally gotten to do one. And what we are talking about is the Hurricane catalytic converter issue. These things are melting catalytic converters and then setting a check engine light for catalytic converter efficiency. Now, yes, this is absolutely covered under the vehicle's warranty. These are all really new vehicles. And I will preface all of this by saying we have a lot of Hurricanes that come into the shop because we service a whole bunch of rental car fleet vehicles. So Thrifty rental car, Enterprise rental car, Avis rental car, they all, at least in the Wichita area, funnel all of their service vehicles into us. Now, I'm not talking about oil changes and stuff like that. I'm talking about when they have issues. Now, and rental cars, yes, do get driven hard, but you do probably see issues on a more accelerated rate with rentals as they are, again, driven harder than a normal vehicle. But we have seen all of these issues on normal customer cars too. But again, back to the catalytic converter issue. We see a bunch of these things come in with melted catalytic converters. Again, they've melted, come apart, and set a code. They're not fun to replace, I will tell you that. Whether it's bank 1 or bank 2, the front half of the motor or the back half of the motor, those catalytic converters are kind of intertwined and twisted around each other there on the driver's side of the engine bay. Yes, wheel off, inner wheel housing liner off, and then you're kind of there and taking things apart. V-band clamps on everything with these modern turbo engines, and it's not fun. It's a pretty bad ordeal. The big kind of issue with replacing them is there's a bigger problem causing the failure, or at least in my opinion. Sure, could we have bad catalytic converters that are poorly made and underrated and are failing? Maybe, but I'm saying maybe not. My thought is it is the tune on these Hurricane engines. And again, this is all my speculation. I don't know anything more than you guys do about engineering, programming side of things. I don't have any information. I'm just the tech in the shop trying to fix these things and keep them on the road. But my thought is we've got these high-strung 6-cylinder twin turbo engines that are direct inject and everything else. I believe, or I'm under the assumption that the tune is too hot, if you will. We're pushing too much power. The high output version makes 500 something, whatever it is. I'll put the numbers here on the screen, but I believe that with the boost, with the fuel, with the timing, with the whatever, we're just pumping so much heat into those catalytic converters that are just a few inches away from the turbo outlet that we're just melting them. We're getting them red hot and they aren't holding it. So yeah, we can absolutely replace the catalytic converters when they failed, but are they going to fail again? Yes, if it is the tune's issue. Will there be a recall in the future? I have no idea. Now, a software update to reduce power would absolutely lower the EGTs, lower the catalytic converter temperatures, but then you're reducing power on a vehicle that you've sold saying it makes 500 horsepower and now you're only making 400. You can't really do that either. So it'll be interesting to see if there's ever a you know, service bulletin or something stating what the issue is, what the proper repair is, or maybe it's just a whole bunch of bad catalytic converters, and once we replace them, they'll be good forever. I have no idea. But again, I got to replace my first one, and it wasn't fun. Other guys in the shop have already done them. I just, like I said, for whatever reason, hadn't gotten the short straw and drawn one to work on. Next up, we are kind of touching back on something we talked about in the previous video, the hybrid Chrysler Pacifica that had a little bit of a boom was what we thought the power inverter module that had blown the case off. We got a little bit further down into that thing and found the power wires. There is a 3-phase motor in that transmission assembly, and as you guys can see here, the cover plate for that wiring, it's been hot, it's been arcing in there. So that thing escalated from needing just a power inverter module to needing a power inverter module and a transmission. Kind of glad that thing's not in my stall, but it'll again be interesting to see once that thing gets a transmission in it, once it gets a power inverter module, if everything else is happy or not. Now that vehicle, like we said previously, is under warranty, so the customer is just out the vehicle while it's being repaired. I'm sure they're in a rental car, but again, what a weird deal and something we have never seen before. Back on the hurricane topic here, hurricane thermostats. So not just catalytic converters, but hurricane thermostats. So you might be saying, well, what are you talking about? Thermostat, what could possibly go wrong there? And goodness gracious, since the hurricane came out in 2023, 24, we'll have to look. I believe 2023 was our first year for the hurricane engine in the Jeep Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer. We've been battling with thermostat issues. It is a very high fail rate on these thermostats, and they are failing closed, which is the absolute wrong way you would want a thermostat to fail. If you didn't know from that terminology, failing closed prevents coolant flow to the engine. As an engine started cold, the thermostat's closed. Once it warms up, that thermostat opens up and allows coolant flow through the radiator, through the engine block, etc., allowing that engine to maintain temperature. If that thermostat never opens, it's gonna get hot and get hot in a hurry. Again, we have seen since these things came out a very, very high fail rate on these thermostats. And again, they're never setting a check engine light. They're just coming in, getting real hot. You pull the thermostat off and you find the mechanism, the little kind of moving mechanism is broken, and you can move it by hand. And obviously it's then sticking closed and causing our issue. Now, you might think, well, good thing it's an easy thermostat to replace, right? No, it is an absolute nightmare of a thermostat. It is on the back of the water pump that is buried kind of in that same left front driver's fender well area behind boost tubes, oil return lines for the turbos, just absolutely a ton of stuff in the way. The steering rack, the intermediate shaft, the ABS lines, there is everything you could think of that is in your way of this massive thermostat housing assembly. There's about 5 Torx bolts on that thing, and the 2 farthest in you can't even get an eye on. You are doing it by feel. You've got long extensions. It's they're a pain. They're an absolute pain. And again, it's something that I hope gets resolved and taken care of, because I'm tired of doing them and I don't like them. One more thing here with our hurricanes while we're beating them up, let's continue on. Hurricane misfires. Yeah, we've got misfire issues too with the hurricane. Now, most of the time they come in setting misfire codes on cylinders 1, 2, 3, or 4, 5, 6, the whole bank, if you will. And again, most of the time you plug that vehicle into our scan tool, and lo and behold, there is a software update for those misfires, and most of the time that software update does take care of the misfires, which is great. We have seen a few that we kind of have suspected have bad fuel or E85 or a high ethanol content fuel, which that motor is not programmed to run with. So again, there are some outside influences that could be causing some of these misfires, but a lot of the time it is a software update that takes care of it. But again, it's just learning curves or growing pains with a brand new high-strung inline-six twin-turbo engine, and it's been rough as a technician in the dealership. Now, last but not least, still on the Wagoneer topic, but not really the same Wagoneer at all, we finally got our first Wagoneer S in. Now, if you didn't know, the Wagoneer S is the all-new, all-electric Jeep that is finally out. Now, is this a price point electric vehicle? No, these things are pretty darn expensive. The 24 model year is the launch edition Wagoneer S's. They're all $72,000 fully equipped from the manufacturer, but it's kind of cool. We're finally getting some more electric stuff in. Again, we had the Dodge Charger EVs that we started getting a few weeks ago, and like I said just now, finally got our first Wagoneer S. Now those do have a 303-mile range once you are fully charged, and I think they'll be kind of a cool vehicle, pending software issues and all of those, again, first year vehicle things. 3.4 second 0 to 60 in a big, huge, heavy all-wheel drive Jeep. It's kind of cool. I'm a go fast guy, as you guys can know or tell with the 392 and the Camaro and the TRX, and I can absolutely appreciate fast electric stuff also. So that will be fun to, or hopefully fun to kind of learn with as we start seeing those more and more in the dealership. And I'm kind of hopeful that we'll see some more of this white Wagoneer S on the channel, hint, hint, and hopefully do some cool content with that thing. So guys, I think that is gonna do it for this week in the shop. Again, a lot of picking on the new Hurricane 3.0 engine, and I kind of waited till the very end of the video to say the nickname of this engine that all of us technicians have unaffectionately dubbed the Hurricane as the shitstorm engine, unfortunately. Yeah, that's what it's unfortunately been nicknamed in the dealership Mopar technician world. But I am so very hopeful that in a couple of years of making that darn Hurricane engine, they will have the bugs worked out, the software issues worked out, the thermostat issues worked out, and the motor will be a good, reliable, trouble-free engine, or at least I hope so for the sake of my job and my sanity there at the shop. So we'll see. We'll keep getting them in the shop. We'll keep fixing them. We'll hopefully get them back out the door and back on the road. And guys, let me know down in the comments, what do you think about a high-strung, high-boosted inline-six twin-turbo? I know we all have cool thoughts of 2JZs and RB26 motors in the Skyline and Super platform, and this is kind of the modern interpretation of that. Kind of, maybe, not really. I don't know, guys. So guys, thanks for coming out into the garage with me and talking shop like we're going to attempt to do every single week. And guys, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys next time.